next session, All In on AI, is from the technology track powered by MTech, one of my favorite hardware companies, for real, and you need to go check out their booth. I know this is one of the hottest topics in design right now, so I can't wait to hear from this exciting panel. Before I welcome our fabulous sponsor to the stage, let's watch a short video from MTech.
Thoughtful design is in MTech's DNA. Inspired by art, architecture, and the world around us, we balance feel and function to create something you'll love to touch every time. MTech Select provides a new level of customization for doors and cabinets. And this year, we're adding a variety of styles and textures to help you mix and match even more. Our new straight knurled designs evoke trends in faucetry and lighting. And we're taking inspiration from kitchen and bath to craft distinctive knobs and levers out of beautiful white marble. Thoughtful design also extends to the way we work. We build to order right here in LA, with fast, predictable lead times, so you can personalize every detail and still keep your project on track. From sampling to ordering, our goal is to make customization as easy as off the shelf. So when someone wants something really special, dealers can get it in a fraction of the time. At the end of the day, it's your project, your vision. You shouldn't have to compromise. No matter your style, there's an MTech product for you. MTech, make it personal.
Wow, that was gorgeous, just like everything you do, MTech. Please join me in welcoming Austin McCormick, Senior Director of Sales, MTech & Schwab US, to the KBIS next stage.
Thank you very much, Julie, and I'd just like to say I love that video because it truly encapsulates who we are. And if we step back and just a quick segue into today's topic in technology, not only are we those leaders in quality design and personalization that you can feel handcrafted in LA, we also have leaned into technology over the years, and we'll step back a couple of years in Orlando when we showcased our Galapagos project that was inspired by algorithms complementing the natural shapes of the Galapagos Islands, and really a good tale that leads into today's topic. I would like to invite you all to experience just how we hand assemble in Los Angeles in the North Hall. We have our Select series where you're able to pair unique cabinet hardware, showcasing different styles and feels and textures of stems and bars, as well as door, the core of what we do. So you can feel that difference. Lead with that in your designs, and I like the fact that they also will showcase a full range of accessories to broaden what you can bring to the table, truly in separating who you are. So let's let the discussion begin. This panel will convince you that AI is going to make a difference in your designs. And we brought together a leading panel to showcase that, led by moderator Andrew Lane. Joining Andrew on stage, my esteemed colleague, Will Zhang, as well as Morgan Molitor and Jenna Gadusik. Welcome to the stage, everyone, and let this great conversation begin.
Thanks so much for the great intro. Thanks so much for everyone coming out. I like the camp out vibe that we have going around the room, and I hear there's a bar at the back now, so the scene got a little more interesting here. So I'm Andrew Lane. I'm going to do a quick intro to our panelists, take us through a couple of slides, and then we're going to get right into having some fun with this. So to my immediate left here is Will Zhang. Will is the Director of Design and Product Innovation at MTech. He developed a curiosity for design at a young age, and after receiving a degree from the Art Institute of California, Orange County, he joined MTech way back in 2009, the aughts. Zhang's a key part is responsible for establishing the industrial design as a key part of MTech to maximize the aesthetic and design value of the product while searching for new sources of inspiration and ideas. And during his time at MTech, Will's received awards including the Interior Design Best of Year or Boy Award, the Good Design Award, and the Best of KBIS Award. He currently resides in LA, and fun fact, his hands were featured in the video that you all just watched. These hands, part-time hand model as well. Jenna Gaduzik is the founder of AI for Interior Designers. It's trademarked, love that. And Jenna is also, she's revolutionized design communication in the interior design industry since founding her online design firm back in 2016. Combining her passion for education and community with AI technology, Jenna has empowered designers through eDesign Tribe, and it was acquired by Mydoma Studio, and now is the director of education and community for that group. She is a trailblazer in integrating technology innovations with a mission to advance the industry by teaching interior designers to harness AI for unparalleled success, client satisfaction. She's going to teach us some things here today. Last in the middle here, certainly not least, Morgan Molitor, the name that I was the least likely to screw up. Is the co-founder of Construction to Style C2S, which is a design build firm. Alongside her husband, Jamie, the two of them have been in business since 2012, a wife and mother of 3, and the co-founder, she began this journey with a humble blog, which has evolved into a design build firm, expanding the venture to launching Neon Lion, which is a dynamic media company, and giving a voice who deserve a second chance by forming a nonprofit initiative named Resilience to Reform. So many things going on with Morgan. Together with her husband, Jamie, they have revolutionized this industry, sharing home lifestyle to providing invaluable insights to design, construction, marketing, and community. Great group. We are here today to talk about artificial intelligence, and I like to make a joke that I hope you all like as well, that the robots are coming. And so through this slide, I hope you will recognize all the robots. If you come up after and can name all the robots, we're going to give you a pile of business cards that were left on this chair by the previous speaker. But just to get really quickly into it, one of the reasons why you think that AI just sort of came out of nowhere and has taken over is it's actually the fastest growing consumer technology in history by a sizable margin. Netflix took actually 18 years to do what ChatGPT did in 3 months. So this exploded onto the scene last year. A lot of big businesses like Google and Amazon and Meta, sorry, I almost always try to say Facebook, but Meta, all of these guys have been working on AI in the background, and when this ChatGPT thing happened, an arms race really started because there's just so much potential with this AI stuff. Really, there's 3 main areas that we can look at in terms of thinking about what AI can do for our business, and we're going to touch on all of them today. So automation of tasks, the idea of augmentation, working together with the AI, and then finally the acceleration of moving different processes forward. And so what are some of these things we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about design, maybe the most obvious one when we think about what the power of AI can unlock. But we're also going to try and touch on some other areas like productivity, not just from a design standpoint, but from a business standpoint, from a back office standpoint. And I know, Morgan, you do a bunch of that stuff that we're going to touch on in the conversation. I love to talk about talent. How does this change the kinds of people you need to recruit into your organization? How does this change the way that you work with people? How does this change the way that you work yourself and develop yourself as a professional? And really similarly, this idea of how this impacts intellectual property and how it impacts your ethics as well. If you're going to go out and design with AI as a co-pilot, are you going to talk about that transparently? Are you going to make that a part of your design story, a part of your story to your clients, to your partners? These are the things that we need to think about. We have many things to think about because we are at the beginning of our journey, though I'm at the end of my robots. And one thing we're going to do a little bit differently here with this conversation is we want to open it up to all of you from the very beginning. So I'm really sorry, Brett. We need to get the mic going. We're gonna get everybody engaged as quickly as possible. I have some questions. I'll ask them. But if you guys are sitting on something that you really want to know about, we've got the group here. We want to turn this into a real conversation. I don't know, is the bar open? Maybe that might help with the first. It's not open yet. Someone will be courageous. Maybe the bartender will start with his first question. But we are going to jump right in. So my first question for my esteemed panel here, you're all using AI in various different ways in your business right now. Can you just start off by talking about some of the things that you're doing right now? How is this impacting your today in your business so we can start to get people thinking about the different places where AI is already making an impact? Will, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So, for me, AI has been real eye-opening tool as far as just technology and how disruptive it is. I really started exploring with it around this time last year and trying to understand basically, how can these tools maybe be used in the design process? And that's an ongoing exploration for us, But there's so many other ways AI has been beneficial to what we're doing. I love ChatGPT, honestly, when it comes to productivity, answering emails, even summarizing emails that I receive so I don't have to read them, So for me, like right now, productivity is like just the key way AI is influencing or helping me. But I mean, there will be a time when like these design tools will be more prominent in what we do, and yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love that there's a personal productivity layer in that as well. Morgan, I know you really encourage this inside your business.
Well, I always think too, like we want to be making money, we want work to be getting done when we're not working, or that's how I feel, and I'm all about like multiple streams of revenue. That's why we have multiple brands going on. And I think too, like as we're here right now today, it's like work's getting done for us while our entire team was here at KBIS. And so for us, we have a lot of automation tools set up with like our leads, our sales funnel, our process. So if you go out there, hopefully, you can't find our email anywhere, you can't find our phone number anywhere, because we have a whole strategy behind that, because we want people to go direct to our website, fill out our inquiry. Once you fill out an inquiry, it prompts another inquiry based on what you filled out to lead you down this sort of workflow, but all that's generated by AI. And so there's usually 5 touch points before they ever get to someone on our team. And I always say too with our team, like if you're repeating things, over and over, or like a client's asking you the same question over and over, I'm like, let's find a tool with AI to figure out how to automate that so we're not repeating the same thing over and over. And I also think like that's what leads to burnout, that's what leads to exhaustion, that's what leads to, especially with client communication. Yeah, and so I use it for that too, just for simple things. Like I can get very emotional with our clients, and sometimes I'm like, I have to remove the emotion out of it, and so AI is great at that, and we use it for, a lot of other things too, but marketing, content creation. But I will say, and we'll touch on this, but like the one thing is I'm a very personable person, and I never want to lose that touch of relationship. So I have a fine line with some of it too.
Getting ChatGPT to talk you off a ledge.
Yes, like basically. Yeah. Or not like scream and say, all right, we're done with your project, let's move on.
Jenna, I mean, this is what you do all day, so maybe you can talk about how that's impacting in with what you do with designers, and that bigger picture that's core to your business.
Mm-hmm. So it all starts with the pretty pictures, right? Like that's what draws us all in. You can create something incredible with like a paragraph in the matter of seconds. But it's all the things behind the scenes that you can do with ChatGPT, from SEO building for your website, creating hashtags that are relevant to your posts simply by uploading a picture to ChatGPT, writing blogs, writing things that are optimized to help you to fill your pipeline, get more clients, but then also the design assistant part of it, right? So taking the concept, creating images, being able to convey those things to your client before you move forward, before you even start an actual render, because you still have to render things in real life. We're not quite there yet. So all of that leads up to the collaboration phase, and then you take over as a human and you connect with that person on another level. But for me as a designer, I literally just hired an assistant, so it's been me, and I use it as an enhancer. So everything that I'm doing, I'm like, oh, I'm going to run it through ChatGPT and just make sure it sounds better. But yeah, I mean, so many different things. I create patterns and textures for custom print-on-demand stuff for my clients' projects that are built off of a certain hex code or something, or the color palette that we're building. Put it into Photoshop, do some generative AI, and then actually print that for my client's actual project.
So something that is sort of woven into the background of all of your answers that I love and I think is so important to highlight to the audience is this idea of collaborating with the AI.
Yeah.
And if I had one more slide to my deck, it would have been a slide that really showed off a study that was done illustrating that simple tasks like writing, you can actually dramatically reduce the amount of time that's spent on the overall task But what ChatGPT in particular can do in that exercise is it gets you to like 75% way faster.
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing to write is like the first word. And the ChatGPT tool can get you there so fast, but then it becomes upon you to edit that. And so your time to produce goes down, your time actually editing goes way up. As a part of that mix. So maybe each of you can talk a little bit about that collaborative relationship, or a little more about that collaborative relationship that you have with the tools so that they can be as effective as possible for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think like it's a starting point. You know, when you go into ChatGPT, you need to, well, here's one thing. As, you know, designers, we're more visually strong, right? Like sometimes like those writing tools, the verbal tools are not there for us. And oftentimes I find myself like needing to compose something and just not knowing where to start. ChatGPT is a very friendly way to like, you know, get the ball rolling there. But it's a process, you know, it's a process of revising ChatGPT, you know, whatever the prompt is and asking it, you know, make it sound more like me, or just make it shorter, or then going back, you know, and having to edit so it is in my own words.
Yeah, that back and forth, like you have a conversation with this thing and go back and forth, and you can actually end up starting to create these discrete GPTs. Like I have my lawyer GPT, and I just go back to it every time I get a new contract, because it knows where I am, it knows the laws of like, I'm from Ontario, Canada, so we have our own crazy Canadian laws that my GPT knows what they are, and it can evaluate contexts in the framework of those laws. And I keep coming back to it every time I have a contract review. So that's something iterative that it can help you with as well. So you talked about that iterative process with your team. Maybe you can get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I think too, it's just like having and knowing like your brand voice, your brand colors, like having your brand kit put together, I think is so important, because it's not just ChatGPT, but all these other tools out there. Like every day, all these tools are rolling out their own AI integrations. And so I always say too, like, you want to be one of those first adapters that are checking it out, that are utilizing, seeing how it works, how it doesn't work, or I am. But just immediately, I'm right away putting in like, here's our brand voice. I already have it templated, so it knows our brand voice. It knows our brand colors, and then the automation process just starts. And it's not very often that we have to tweak our voice, because across the board, we kind of have that same playful yet educated, but we just have a paragraph that's already typed up on the way that we talk, how we want to present ourselves, and so it knows it. And yeah, we treat it just like it's, I treat it just like it's someone on our team. I always think too, a lot of times people are like, oh, this will replace someone on your team. And I'm like, it definitely doesn't replace, because this position I would have never had. None of us have unlimited budgets. And so to me, I'm like, no, it's helping me with time is money. And a lot of times too, I'm like, I want to be doing things with my kids. I want to be doing more family things. And so that it's, doing the work for me, and it's talking for me in a way that you would not know. And I'm ready for social media to start answering messages for us with it.
What are some of the strategies you're working on with
So
clients?
I've built GPT bots for basically everything. So, you know, hashtags, blogging, budget, revisions, design assistant, opt-in builders. So every time I need something, I'm like, oh, where's my little, I call them my little GPT buddies.
I was going to say, do you name each of them?
I do.
They each have
I
a
do,
name?
and they all have like buddy at the end.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just am like, okay, and then I have a marketing one too that knows my brand. And with ChatGPT now having memory, I don't have to keep telling it the same information over and over again. It's now learning and just getting stronger and stronger every day.
Yeah, I think that ability for it to get stronger is so important. So informal, a question, I love that. Let's get going with the questions.
We hear lots about ChatGPT, but are there other specific AI programs that you're using?
So I also use Bard, which is Google. I think it's great. I think there's a little bit more relevancy in it. I don't know if you guys disagree with me. Sometimes ChatGPT can be a little bit back, but it's still great. And then there's one other tool, and I was just telling Jenna as I was walking up here, and now I space, but I just got it presented to me last week, and I started looking into it, and I'm like,
No, there's so many.
Sure.
Yeah,
I know.
I was going to say there's a ton. I think that rebranded Bard to Gemini
Yes,
like
you're right.
last week.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
so it's if you Google
Gemini.
if you Google Google's AI, it's Gemini now.
Yeah.
But Google is actually your friend in this, because if you say AI for video editing, AI for presentation decks, AI for whatever, there's like a massive keyword and ad battle that's going on right now.
Yes.
So you'll very quickly find 5 tools.
Yep.
There's a huge race going on at the application layer right now for this to happen. And I was actually going to ask this as a question to the audience. I put your hand up if you guys have used ChatGPT before.
Nice.
What about Gemini or Bard, the Google tool? Yeah, it's definitely less. What about an image-based tool like a Stable Diffusion or a Midjourney or Automatic 1111? A little bit less on that, but maybe more than Google. And then keep your hand up if you would like to ask another question. That worked.
So I hear a lot about using ChatGPT as your brainstorming body to automate a lot of like the administrative tasks. But is there any way that you use AI for your design process, particularly creating images? And now that he mentioned Midjourney, like how do you guys utilize that mainly?
So I created a design assistant, GPT, and I've been training it for probably about whenever GPTs came out. And so what I do is I get the raw data from my client's onboarding questionnaire and all the other questions that I have for them. And then in that onboarding sequence, I also have like concept boards for color palettes, imagery that they've selected that they like, you know, those types of things, also AI. And I plug all that raw information into my design assistant, and then it cleans it up for me, makes it really pretty, and then I can, you know, always go back and have something very cohesive. From there, it knows, because I've trained it, that the next step is to create a design concept board. So because it's connected to DALL-E, because you have to have Plus to be able to do this, it instantly creates an image for me, and then I chat with it back and forth, and I say, that's not what I want. I want, you know, something that looks like this. Let's add more of this. And it's a conversation that you're having with them. So I work from that concept phase, and that I present different elements with these images that I've created. I actually also use Midjourney, so I prompted it to give me the prompt that it created for the DALL-E image, so that I can also put that same prompt into Midjourney, because Midjourney's imagery is better than DALL-E at this point in time. So I run that over to Midjourney, create all these images, give that presentation to my client. I say, here are elements that I like in these images. What do you think? And then we have a discussion about it. Then I move on to the conceptual phase, you know, like actually designing and making selections and rendering the actual space. Currently, at this point in time, I'm not using it for floor plans or anything like that. I haven't found anything that's good enough, you know, like for how I think. So it's still manual, very much manual after the conceptual phase.
So I might have a floor plan one for you, so.
Check it out.
Well, Digs is, yeah, a great tool too.
Awesome.
And so you can put your 2D or put your floor plan into their program, and then it goes from 2D to 3D, and then you can put all of your selections in there too. And then also what I love about that is when you're done with a project, you can actually hand it over to the client, and then it has all the links to everything too. So it's like, here's your pretty package to hand off, and now our project's done. Just and now I'm just waiting, which I have a feeling it's going to be here very quickly, but all the links are in there because we're a design build, so we come more from the construction side. But then it's like, okay, all of our links, here's our floor plan, here's all the selections. Now order based on our timeline. I want it to sync with Builder Trend.
You're so right, though. Like with some of this stuff, it's like just look at your watch, and
Yes.
it'll be here soon. Like the race to build these tools.
It is.
There's a lot of people who are thinking about these problems, and they're creating solutions actively. And there's something new all the time.
For sure.
And you can even train your own. I mean, if you want to dedicate the time to that, if that's a process that's critical to you, you can train your own bot to do it. So that might be something that's beneficial for someone's business. Did you have one you wanted to add there?
Oh, no, I use a lot of Midjourney like in the ideation phase, kind of informally. You know, there's something really powerful about just, you know, for designing products, right? Just having a thought of something, whether it's like relevant or even like rational. And then just being able to see an image of it immediately as a starting point in the design process.
Yep.
It's just like using ChatGPT to like write email when you have writer's block in some ways, just to get some creative juices going. And I think that's like a very valuable way that AI image generation is being used in that industry.
So tucked way back at the beginning of those answers, I just wanted to call it something that Jenna said, and something that's super important to remember in this conversation, which is that AI loves data. It loves information, and that's going to make it smarter, and it's going to make it better, and it's going to make it more customized. So Jenna has a client onboarding survey. That is an incredible type of a tool to just have a bunch of data that your client delivers to you, that you just drop it into the GPT, and now all of a sudden it knows 15 things about this new client. Like, it very quickly comes up to speed, and something like a survey and those sort of unstructured data points that you used to have, and maybe they got dusty on your desk, and maybe you printed them and left them there, and put them in the GPT now, and now the GPT knows as much about the client as you do, and it reads it faster than you do. You might not even, do you read them?
I do.
You don't even have to read them anymore, you know? Like, the GPT will tell you all about your client. Yeah. Read this and tell me 3 things that are important.
Or reads it for you.
Out of this, you know? Like, that's what I do with my contracts. Read this and tell me, based on the laws in my area, what are the top 3 considerations I should be reviewing so that I don't have to read the whole thing. It's like, review these clauses, Andrew. It's very, very helpful in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the middle there. Thank you.
Okay, it's a full house here. A lot of people are interested. A couple of questions. First, can you describe a little bit more of what Dolly, Diggs, Midjourney is? Because I don't know that a lot of us know what that is. And secondly, in some of these platforms, can you tell it to create a palette or a concept based on materials that are good for floor versus wall, for example, with, say, tile material? Just wondering if it is that smart.
So your second question is really about training, right? You're going to need to teach it certain things. Now, giving GPTs context is often a great way to start. So my contract example, I always tell it, you are a lawyer. You're based in Ontario, Canada, right? So in your case, you are a design expert, right? You might even want to, like, if there's a particular building code or something like that, like sometimes you want to actually download it some information to get it started. So I'll start there, and I'll allow you guys to kind of pick up, and then maybe we can go into a little bit more depth on the tools too. But would you guys add anything to that idea of training GPTs?
It does have basic knowledge about material selection. You know, is trained to know like what surfaces do and, you know, how to use them, but it's vague. So you do have to give it a backstory, where you're using it, what you're looking for, and then it can get a little bit more defined for you. As far as the other question about generative images, Midjourney is technically right now through Discord to be able to create your images, but pretty soon it'll be on the website, unless it already is. I don't know.
It's still Discord for now. Yeah.
Okay. And then Dolly is part of ChatGPT, so you can use it in conjunction with just having a conversation, and then it'll pop up some images for you. That is on the plus side, though.
And yeah, I would just say Diggs too. So that is more floor plan and selections to showcase, like, this is, you know, what it is. It's not the pretty picture, so you can adjust measurements, but it's more like the tangible walk away with document to reference, point of reference. But it's also one of the most important things to build.
Yeah, over here in the green.
She's had a next question for a while.
Were you? You were like right there. That was awful. You came and you sat right down front, and then it blew up in your face.
Okay, so my question is regarding to intellectual property, because that has been one of my biggest things as far as a concern from a legal standpoint. You're not the one who's actually creating the specific image or the specific verbiage on something, and yes, you're maybe kind of directing it, but is it considered your knowledge? Like, what are the legalities of using something like this and having to document it or basically let your customers and clients know that this was created by a GPT?
always
Good.
disclose.
Yeah, I mean-
Always disclose that it's AI. It needs to be a #1 rule in our industry that this is an AI image. I prompted it, yes, so that was me. But when I spoke to my lawyer about this, and I'm not a lawyer, this is coming from an actual person, not a GPT, he said, technically when you prompt it, that's a proprietary prompt that you're giving it, so the image generation technically is yours when it comes out. So, I mean, that was when I first started with him. I don't know if things have changed. It's so hard to keep up with the legalities because I just hate that stuff. But, it's, as long as I'm always disclosing this is AI and I'm not trying to hide it in any way, then I feel good about it and what I'm doing. You guys have?
Yeah, I think transparency is 1,000% part of what we're doing with AI when we're using it. So it has to be done purposefully in that sense. When it comes to designing products, right? If you generate a design in AI, like for a door lever or something, well, you can't patent that or copyright any of that. It's not protected currently, and laws are changing. That's one of the reasons why we're kind of on the manufacturing end still just exploring how AI can be used, because there are these issues. You can't protect it, and then in a really bad case scenario, you could potentially infringe on someone else's intellectual property because it is pulling images from the internet and you don't really know where it's coming from, and you just don't want to make those mistakes.
Yeah. Oh.
I've seen it used really interestingly with firms who are making it a part of their overall storytelling of their design. So it as much as it's a legal question, it's an ethics and marketing question as well. And so, I've seen firms going as far as saying, our firm, in collaboration with Midjourney, on the images that they're sending to the clients, they're sending an e-blast in their email newsletter saying, we are using this technology. What it's allowing us to do is give you a new tool that's rapid prototyping. That's, there's different ways that you can think about your service package that can change with the addition of this tool. To Will's point, when you get into product design, that becomes very different. I know Leslie just has launched an AI-built sink at the show this week, so that's maybe one of the first that I've heard of that's available here. But when you're actually thinking about the product design, there's another layer on top. When you're thinking about the concepting and the iteration, again, it's an ethics and a marketing and a positioning question for the way that you want to talk about the work that you're delivering to your clients. But to the point that was made at the very beginning from Jenna, yeah, if you're the one driving the prompt, that is your intellectual property created in collaboration with the tool.
And I would say too, again, what you guys are saying, but when in doubt, just say it. And for us too, we have a client handbook. It's I think 5-ish pages long, but it's really visual appealing, but pretty. And then in our handbook, it basically and we give our client handbook, immediately, again, it's all AI generated through our process, before they even get to us, to know how we work, what we do, and in there it just shows our team, and then we have our social media, little thing that says we will be documenting your project. We also, take people through this whole journey, because that's one thing, if they don't want to go through that online, we're probably not the best fit. And then just having another little disclosure in there, we're a forward-thinking company, so we're always integrating the latest tools, technology, trends, and we're always exploring new AI features. So.
And that's a marketing opportunity for you to be able to position yourself in that way. And I was saying this to the panel before, I think there's also going to be businesses and firms that will go in the opposite direction and say, we don't touch that stuff. Everything is our own. It's generated out of our own brains. We don't use tech. And I think that, again, all positioning opportunities. I don't know if there's actually a wrong answer.
For sure.
So sorry.
Mine is a very technical question. So I'm a designer, and I was at the show last month for furniture and decor, and several of us were talking about this. And so I use a design software that I'm very tied to from a standpoint of my employees, invoicing, job costing, all this stuff. But although we can do this, we cannot get our our visuals for clients to look as clean as what comes out with AI. So we were all discussing this, and I, they brought up Midjourney, and a few of my designer friends have tried to use it, and they're like, I can't use it with my clients. There will be a sconce up in the air, and I can't get it out of the air. I can't get it. where it needs to be. So I'm very curious because I would love to kind of marry the two from a standpoint of I keep my design software that invoices that, you know, that I present to my clients, but present it in AI, if that makes sense. But so have you ever dealt with that where you can't get it to do what you exactly want it to do?
Yeah, sometimes you have to just go and fix it yourself, honestly. Yeah, and there's great tools in Photoshop now, like Photoshop Beta. You can just fix things really quickly.
The Aaron sconce.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Create various prompts. Run, you know, I run typically. I don't just prompt once in Midjourney. I prompt 10 prompts at a time, so that I can get a variation of images that I'll spit out. So I'll get 40 images versus one. And then, you know, Dolly's temperamental, so half the time if you close the app, it's going to be like, no, I can't compute. So I prefer Midjourney for that. Lighting, fixtures, hardware, it just doesn't get it. A lot of time it puts a sofa in front of your fireplace, like, you know, but I love the flaws because it means that it's AI, and it's very easy to pick it out. So I look for those, and I kind of capitalize on that to be like, now I'm going to go render this for you. I'm going to give you a VR walkthrough tour and a video of your exact space, exact floor plan, and the exact products. This was concept.
That's good.
Kitchen prompt, like, I have a kitchen, it is 20 by blah, like, get an example of a prompt, like you're starting to design a kitchen.
So I always talk about what the space is, what the style is, and then I include a few features. And then I actually build off of a basic prompt typically. So I'll start with fundamentals, see what it kicks back to me, and then I work with it and I change it. Like I said, I create a lot of prompts in Dolly for Midjourney because they're extensive. So they come out really full, and then I can put it into Midjourney and get something that's way better than what Dolly's producing right now.
Yeah. You know, I think what's really interesting about working with AI in this way is designing with words. It's like a whole new like medium of actually learning to imagine something and, you know, document every detail of it. And the more information you give in your prompt of like what this room has, the more accurate it's going to be to your vision.
Yeah, prompt writing is like the skill of the day and the skill of the future. And I've seen this, oh, prompt writing is going to be this $300,000 a year job, go be a prompt writer. I think prompt writing is going to be like the ability to text people and use emojis. Like everybody is going to be a prompt writer. If you're not already practicing being a prompt writer, you should be like stopping paying attention to the panel and going into OpenAI and starting to practice writing prompts right now. Because that input is so important in terms of how you construct it. Just like both Will and Jenna had said, like the way you set that prompt up, the detail that you provide, and this is one of those things where people go, oh, design's going to could be completely taken away by the machines. It's like, no, you have the design knowledge to be able to structure the room, to tell it the style that it's going to be in. That's your training, that's your knowledge. Not anyone can write that prompt as well as you can as a designer, as the designer who designs in the style that you do. And to Will's point, you got to get good at expressing what makes you unique in words. And then these tools will learn how to follow suit and create the kinds of experiences that they're both speaking about.
And with my onboarding questionnaire, not only do I have images for, you know, mood board and concept and those types of things, I have word banks of how do you want the room to feel. Like, and then they select it, and then that's a prompt. You just put it in there.
Yeah, having like a prompt document on a drive somewhere where you just have pieces that you can copy and paste in, super valuable. I'm excited. We have our first question from the bar.
I have one over here after.
Oh. Okay.
I was like pointing back there.
This may be very basic, but you mentioned ChatGPT and being able to train it. So I've tried to harken back to remember this conversation, ChatGPT, that we had, and it says I can only do, you know, what I did today. So what's the step? Am I missing a step, or is it a different version? I log in to do it. How are you training ChatGPT?
Do you pay for it? Are you paying for it? Have you ever created a custom GPT bot?
No.
Okay, that might be what you want to do.
Can you talk about that a little bit then?
Yeah, they're just individual things. Everybody can create them. They're individual, highly trained on one specific topic. You train it on the back end, you give it data, you give it images, whatever you want, and then it learns more every single time. And so you can constantly be adapting that. Yep, and growing from that. And now it has memory.
And at the most basic level, even if you're using the free version, it'll save every question you've ever asked it in tabs along the left. And you just go back into the tab where you asked it questions about one particular topic, and you keep building it out over time, and it just gets smarter and smarter on that particular topic. You probably have one per client.
Yeah.
Like things like that, right?
I rename them with my client's name so I can find them, because there's not a search feature. It drives me crazy.
I know.
I have to go through
Feature
hundreds
requests,
of chats.
there it is.
Yeah.
It'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
AI is
hopefully.
listening to this panel. We have a
Andrew, we
oh,
have
wait,
one
you have
over
one
here
over
for a
here,
little bit,
right?
yeah.
Yes, forgot about that. Thank you.
Hi. I'm just wondering how you breach the topic of creativity with your clients and educate them on maintaining your own creative piece of the role as a designer. And also I'm wondering, for those of us who bill hourly, if this is an efficiency tool, how does that play into it? Because how do you explain to your client, I'm going to pump this render out so much quicker using AI, and I'm still creative, and you can still pay me the same amount?
I mean, for payment, to me, I'm like, again, you're investing in yourself and your knowledge, and other designers or contractors might not be doing the same thing. And so I'm like, that is what you should be paid for. I probably wouldn't be hourly. We're project-based. And they don't need to know how much time, we don't show how much time we're spending on things, because they're paying us for our value, not for, and we've spent years building, learning, coming to sessions like this. Like, this stuff isn't cheap. And so I can't hear, sorry.
She's talking about the
I'm just saying, like,
billable
for
side.
example, there's occasions where we would disclose AutoCAD time and things like
I
that.
wouldn't disclose it.
I think there's a lot of hot takes on the creativity piece. So it's, how do I validate this to my client? Like, I plugged a bunch of keywords and, this is how people perceive it, right?
I mean, I'm just a huge, or for me personally, I'm just a huge advocate of, you are the value. You don't need to validate anything to your clients. You're still fueling the creativity. You're still the one, like, no matter what, if you're using AI and your competitor's using AI, and it's going to look totally different, because you're still two different people, and your design aesthetic's still going to come through that, in my opinion.
I think it also goes back to the question we had over here with the ethics and the marketing kind of side to it, right? So there's like a firm that I'm thinking of that has done this really aggressively. They have an AI-driven package where it's like, come to us for rapid iteration. You're not going to get the same sort of drawn-out billable rate that you would have gotten through a typical ideation process, because we're going to transparently use AI. The hours will be less. You'll get to an outcome much more quickly, but there might be an errant sconce to the point that your prompt might not be perfect, right? So that's part of the storytelling that you have the opportunity to tell, but I think that the key point is, be transparent about the way that you're using the tools and make that a part of your story.
For sure.
Anything else anyone would add? So do we get one more?
Oh, no.
You have to
no, there's
pick,
so many.
there's so many. You have to shut somebody down. The mic runner becomes the most difficult job of ethics. Oh, we can. I got the go ahead to get more questions. Amazing. We're pulling strings for you people.
I think I'm the lucky one. My name is Tanya Tam. I'm actually coming from an AI company called LiveX.ai, specialized in customer services. And this morning, I had opportunities talking to the different booths about what we are doing, like what we can do, product education, product discovery, scheduling, customer support, returns, taking orders. But I found that KBIS is more conventional industry, less technology savvy. So for our startup company, I want to know that how to let the people in this industry understand how AI can really help them in terms of customer support and customer services.
Oh, that's good. Well, I would say, because one of our questions is like, what could you guys do today? And I'm like, to start implementing AI. And I'm like, I'm starting to, the brands that we partner with, the brands that we work with, like I'm asking them immediately, like walk around these booths and ask them like, what are you doing for forward thinking with AI? And they might be like, what? Or maybe they're on board. And to me too, I'm like, the more brands and companies get on board with it, it's only gonna better the housing industry as a whole. Because like we were talking about, like this data needs to be infiltrated into these systems. And so once, for example, like Diggs and what I just said, like I want to be able to order these selections, I want it synced with our schedule. I need all the brands that we love and spec and use. I need them all to be forward-thinking companies, and I need them to be adapting this so that we can all do more business in shorter amounts of time. So I would say, like everyone out here, I'd encourage you to ask the brands that you work with how they're forward-thinking and approaching AI. And if they're running from it, I mean, maybe that's fine. But for me personally, then I'd be like, okay, I need to maybe take a moment here and reevaluate if like this is the best partnership or if there's other better, brands out there.
I would say first of all, I want to try it. So
I know, I was like, don't forget that.
All of them. For like telling designers, you know, how to use it. So many designers are still so new to this. Show us what this can do for us and how it saves us time and is more efficient. Because we're not going to get it if we speak in technical terms, but if you can show us what it's going to do for us, then we're way more interested in it and buying in.
Yeah, finding that business problem is always the key. You got anything, Will?
No, I think it's just a matter of time, right? Like this is going to be more, like to the comment that this is not like a super tech industry, you know, kitchen and bath. It's still pretty conventional, but you know, technology is disruptive and it's kind of like reading the room.
Yeah,
you know?
those cameras back there have film in them. That's how.
Well, and I think too with the kitchen and bath industry, like in the housing industry, like people might have the conception that with AI, we're going to lose that personal touch. But I have a big feeling like this year will be the year somehow like that personal touch is going to be integrated into AI. And so to me, I'm like, get on board now and get learning the basics, because once that comes to market, you guys are going to be like, oh dang, I need to. Yeah. I think that because people are craving that and missing it. So I think they think AI will create this more cold concept, and I think they're right about something's going to happen, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Any last questions over here on the right? And then one at the back, and then I think we might be wrapping.
So I have a question more about the like workflows and automations. I know there's like a little thing in your slide, so I just want to touch on this real quick. I've been struggling to bring together the things that we can automate, like sending an email to someone who filled out a form, but then integrating that with things that are purely manual. So we have a design build business, so something that happens in the field, I'm struggling to figure out how do I get something that happens in the physical world that I can't really trigger into, and I don't know if this is too complicated, but getting it into like a workflow somehow, and maybe using ChatGPT, or if there's other programs, I don't know.
I would say from the construction, because you guys are similar to us, the construction, there's not, because same, I'm like, we use like 5 different tools right now, but again, I'm talking to all those brands and I'm asking them like, can you guys start integrating with each other? Like, even with Diggs and Buildertrend, like I knew they were talking to each other, you know, and at this show right now, I think it's so cool because these people are all talking and they're all talking about AI and like how to work together, how to create that. So when it comes to, like we use Dubsado for when clients come in, but then that's not gonna sync with things out in the field. So then it gets to a point, then we're like, transfer it over here. And then we do the automation, then we have to transfer it to another. But I'm like, can all these like please talk to each other? And even my husband, who's in the back, he like told one of the other brands this weekend, he's like, you should just let them buy you out so that all this can be integrated. She did not like that, but we're like, let all these, systems talk to each other. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that you're thinking about it in the right way though, which is like you need to design those workflows, and the tools that aren't there today, like they're launching as we speak, right? I'm sure 5 AI products have launched since we've been on this stage. Yeah. So, you know, it's all coming, and the important thing that you're doing is you're understanding where you have data, where like making sure the data is good as you're going through those processes, because if you don't have good data, when you get to the point where this system is in place or is available to you, it's still not going to make any difference. So like focus on your data quality, focus on your workflows, and get yourself ready. It's just as important as understanding how to prompt is to be ready from a data intensity and from a data quality standpoint. At the back with the glasses. Oh, that's good too.
Everyone's in glasses.
Oh no.
Hi, so I see Jenna is a design and educator, AI for interior designers. Do you offer coaching or classes on how to, and can you elaborate on that?
I do. AIforinteriordesigners.com. Somehow it wasn't taken, so I was like, all right, let's run with that.
Boom.
Yes, I have core classes, so I teach just like Dolly, Midjourney, ChatGPT, the fundamentals for all of those programs for basics. And then I have quarterly update sessions because it changes so quickly, so you guys can all go into those. And then AI and print on demand is coming next month because I do print on demand custom patterns and decor for my clients. And then I'm about to release all my GPTs with training as well. So instant access, instant gratification, and you can start using them. But I also do one-on-one trainings whenever I'm asked, and I do a lot of group sessions for like IDS, ASID, those types of things. Yep.
I think, yeah, the gentleman, the other person with the glasses.
Okay, one more.
Last one, okay. Is that Leanne from somewhere?
Hi there. Hi there. I guess this is kind of a two-part question. The first one, you spoke about kind of building specific chatbots to help you. Is that something that is proprietary to yourself or your company? And all of that data and information that you're prompting it to narrow its focus for you, does that information go into ChatGPT and these additional platforms for the broader public? Which then I guess kind of leads me into my second question is, depending on how much of that data is protected or not, do you ever have concerns where consumers realize that if it's something that's open source, they can do a good chunk of the work themselves and maybe kind of get through without having to go to someone?
Who wants to start? I love these questions.
Oh. That's such a loaded question.
Yeah.
I can start with the GPT part.
Yeah.
Start with the GPTs.
So the GPTs I've been training, but anybody can train them. Like you can go build one right now. I've just been training them to be vague for interior designers, not on my personal branding or anything like that, though you should and you can, but it's for like specific tasks. I keep mine private, so they're not available in the GPT store, but I can share them via a link to people and then they can use them. I do think that there's like a back-end button where you can turn off if it's public or not information with data sharing. Am I right?
I think that's in the premium.
Okay,
only,
I feel like I saw that last week. Yeah, but I keep mine private.
There's a bigger sort of thing going on there where like major architecture firms are rolling this out really thoughtfully because of what you're describing. Like all of these prompts are still going into the collective knowledge of OpenAI or to Midjourney or whoever. So, you know, major firms are actually moving out of the cloud and building localized solutions where they're putting compute power on site so that whatever they're designing, whatever tools, the prompts that they're building, the models that they're training aren't actually going back up into the cloud so that they can maintain their own kind of proprietary approach. So people are doing it that way. I think at the everyday person kind of level, it's not something that you maybe need to worry about that much, but you should have your eyes open to the fact that when you create these prompts, when you create these GPTs, OpenAI is absorbing that into its massive hive brain of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a major consideration, you know, when you're working with AI, like really thinking of what you're feeding it and what's gonna happen with that information in the future, what you're training it to do, and just be aware of the privacy policies and, you know, if you want that out there or not.
And I always just think too, it's like everything in the world. There's programmatic ads out there. It's like these things have been following us for years. They know everything.
So just as a wrap up, and to give you guys all kind of a final word, maybe you could give the audience a thought on something that they can do tomorrow or when they get back to the office or with their team that's going to get them started on a journey of starting to use these tools in a practical way.
Yeah, I think like in the image generation side, it's pretty intimidating to think that maybe you spend a lot of time crafting a skill to make beautiful images of your designs. But just give it a shot. Just be open to testing out Midjourney, DALL-E, whatever else. Just get your toes wet, and it's up to you at the end of the day whether you want to use it or not. But it's definitely very thought-provoking.
Yeah, and I just say, like, educate, educate, educate. Like, educate yourself, absorb yourself in all of the information. It's endless out there. There's tons of different perspectives. I would encourage you just to be an optimist and see what the options are. Explore it. Sign up for a few things. Start some bots to see how it works for you. And I'd also encourage you, like, if it doesn't, what I found is a lot of my colleagues, they're like, oh, I tried it, and it's just like, and I'm like, because you're not doing it right. Like, you got to work it right, like, for how you want it to work back with you. So yeah, I just encourage you to use AI to say, hey, what AI tools should I be looking into? And just YouTube too. Like, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there that I always have an Audible in. I'm listening to your podcast every day that talks about AI. I was listening to one this morning that my mind was just like, I sent it to my team, my mentor group. Go listen to his podcast.
Love the plug.
I would say download the ChatGPT app. I have a 7-year-old that just started spelling and putting together sentences. So she will voice communicate with the app and have a whole robotic conversation and using ChatGPT. So you can go do that right now and download the app and get started and just ask it anything. If you feel weird about texting it, just say, what should I make for dinner tonight? It's going to tell you some recipes.
Yeah, I love that one. The personal use piece is such a good way to get comfortable with it. I have these 5 things in my fridge. What are some recipes I could make? It's amazing for all of those sorts of tools. Well, thank you so much to our esteemed panel. Thank you so much to the audience for all of your great questions. It was a pleasure going all in on AI with you today. And I think we're going to hang around a little bit if you want to come up and chat some more. But thank you.